What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the DBL podcast reboot of season two. As you can all tell by now, my voice is back. It doesn't sound like I'm chewing sandpaper anymore. And I'm truly blessed and thankful to be back to be able to do this again. Thank you from everybody that reached out to me and gave me the wishes and sending prayers and just, like I said, when you're dealing with your health and things like that. Support is something that you need, and I'm glad I was able to get it from everyone. So I want to say thank you for that. But it's been a long journey, but I'm back now, and so I want to say thank you to everyone. But now that we've gotten all that yada 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 out the way, right? Let's get down to why we're actually here, and that is this week's episode of the podcast. So today we're going to be talking about issues in modern day relationships. And I know that that's a scary word, relationships, especially in this age of social media, right? Relationships are not easy. Relationships have never really been easy unless you got two people that are really ready to adapt. Because in today's society, even old school minded thinking people have some modern ways, or they need to have some modern ways, and people that are very modern need to have some form of old school mannerism to them as well. So it's very hard to try to bring those two worlds together. And if you're two modern people, you're basically labeled toxic or either misogynistic, right? Or you're a simp. So there are so many different elements to this, right? But relationships are a mixed bag of ups and downs. In modern relationships, they're not easy. And, there is no doubt about that. You know, the dating pool is either halfway filled with trash, and the other half is either taken or not your type. So good luck with that, right? But if you're blessed enough to have found someone, what I'm saying, then you have an uphill battle in order for that relationship to be successful, especially in this microwave society that we live in, right? Today's lifestyles have changed, and so have relationships, I guess, for lack of a better, phrasing. Our lifestyles have drastically changed, and then these are the changes that are reflected in like an everyday aspect of our living, and a direct impact of those type of lifestyle changes, what I'm saying, are going to be on the relationships, because the relationships in the world that we live in is something that people think they don't need anymore. People would rather, do the stop offs or the check ins or the hey, how you doing, or what's going on, versus actually committing to relationships anymore. You know, Modern relationships, they usually don't last, and they just kind of just crumble. They fall apart because there is no foundation. There isn't anything to build on. And so that right there plays a huge role in this microwave society, especially with relationships, because people would rather give up on a relationship than put in the effort to resolving any type of conflicts. Okay. Relationships are really like a roller coaster ride, right? You're not always up, but you're not always down. And people do not have the patience anymore to go through those downs, of a relationship. There should be, more good times in relationships, but there are going to be some rough patches also. However, people today prefer breaking up instead of putting in the effort to mend those relationships. I was recently in one, and I've been through them where, what I'm saying, the first sign that you go through something, all of a sudden everybody checks out. And that's okay, right? But if you really, if what it is most important to you, right? You got to be willing to bring out that umbrella and weather the storm. You know what I'm saying? You have to be got to brace for impact. You gotta really put out the gear, the rain boots, and all that right there, because sometimes it gets a little rough, tumultuous. Times without taking a major impact, everything that happens isn't a hurricane. So you just have to really just brace for it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about today some of the most common problems in today's relationships, right? And there are a lot of them, but we're gonna just tackle some of them today, because life throws a lot of different types of problems, twists and turns at us. right? But when you're together, there is nothing you cannot sort through, with time, such as complications might start impacting your relationship's dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at some of those. But I want to say, starting out, the mindset that I have and the reason why I do this podcast is for this next statement that I'm about to say. And it has to do with this common sense phrase to me. There isn't anything in a relationship that you cannot come back from. It ultimately starts with um, want, that four-letter word, because everything that we want, we are so determined that we're going to make it happen. We're going to do it. And now it also takes two people, but it starts with the word want. Do you want to be here? Do you want to love me? Do you want to share a home? Do you want to share a life? Do you want to make a family? Everything starts with want. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be big as a house? Whatever phrase you want to use, it always starts with want. So relationships are no different when it comes to the same terminology, right? So now that I've gotten my personal side out the way, let's talk about some of the key issues that go into failures in modern day relationship or some of the issues that you might face. And the biggest one that comes to mind for me is going to be lack of time, right? One of the most common issues in today's relationships is lack of time for either of the partners, right? Because you got a career, I got a career. I have a family, you have a family. I got this, you got that. We're all doing everything. So today's busy lifestyle is hectic, and the hectic schedules that we have made it overwhelming with people trying to work on what's important. But people somehow find it hard to manage their personal and professional life well. Your job, you complain about it every single day because it barely pays you for the amount of work and headache that you go through, right? But your home life is something that is supposed to be your safe haven, and it pays you in rewards in different ways in different areas because it comes back with your version of love and compassion. And that's something that money can't buy. But that is the one thing we can't find time for. We can set an alarm clock to get up to go to work. We can set an alarm clock to go to the gym. We can set an alarm clock to go to the kids' events and stuff like that. But when it comes to making time for your partner, you can't even find your calendar in your phone to make time for it. But yet you want to get overly excited about Valentine's Day, right? So you have to be mindful of the lack of time. It creates a time shortage for every relationship. Every relationship needs time to grow and build. And that's the reason why I try to tell people you want to grow in love and not fall in love. Because when you grow, that means that you have taken the time to break down all of the bad dirt, all of the bad grime. You've gotten all the yucky stuff out, the weeds out, and you've planted a seed properly in that relationship that with the correct nurturing and clipping of the buds and moving the weeds, that occasionally pop up, that relationship can grow into something. It can be around for a long time. But when you fall in love, you can also fall out of love. Okay. So just be mindful that those relationships need time to grow. But when you don't give it enough time in a relationship, they start to break down, just like any plant, just like any car, just like anything that you have, you know. And I try to tell most people that that comes with, often you say to their partner that they have no time for them. When both partners start feeling this way, they start getting distance from one another. You know what I'm saying? For the relationship to be able to hold on and maintain, you both have to have time for each other. And I'm not talking about family time. I'm not talking about, you know, when you guys get together to go see other people, not couples times with other couples. We're talking about time for each other. Okay. So that for me is the number one issue in a lot of modern relationships. Okay. Another one that comes about is what we'll call it, lack of a healthy communication. I've talked to a lot of different people in this journey that I'm on right now, and their one problem is that they always complain about is a lack of communication. Communication, for whatever reason, if you're under the age of 30, 35, 30, somewhere up in there, you don't know what communication actually is because you spend more time, texting and communicating with short form words or communicating through emails that you somehow or another we've gotten to a place where we stop communicating with people. And that is a really big struggle because it shows in our everyday life, right? I love my son, and he's a very smart and very articulate young man, right? But he is very socially awkward because he doesn't communicate very well. He can laugh, he can joke, he can be the life of the party, but the moment you talk to him directly, he can't put words together. Everything stumbles or everything is blah, 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 blah. He doesn't even speak English anymore, right? So imagine if that's what it is for him. Imagine the amount of effort that you have to put in as an adult because we spend so much time texting and emailing or looking at TikTok videos that we've somehow or another figured out how not to communicate with people in the world. Okay, but in fact, most relationship problems begin with lack of communication. When you stop talking to your partner or you stop discussing your concerns and your problems with them, you send it to your friends, you send it to TikTok, or you post it as a question on Facebook, you're no longer communicating to your partner, you're communicating at them. But you're also belittling that person and making them feel less than because you're not talking to them. Everybody else knows what's going on, except they don't know what's going on. And that distance is created between you and your partner. The distance just keeps on increasing when neither of you make the genuine effort to try to communicate with each other. Granted, guys have always been quote unquote nonverbal, like we don't talk, we just do. Women have always been accused of being over communicative. Well, the roles in life have changed so much that men are actually being verbal and women don't want to hear what they got to say. The women have stopped talking, and the men are wondering how come they can't get them to talk. So sometimes you also have to be careful what you ask for because that's just a part of what it is. But today, everyone is, independent. Everybody is arrogant. People avoid talking and trying to make things right. They would rather give up on each other than talk out and resolve the conflicts that they have with each other. So, the last two things that I talk about are two of the most important things that I think that any relationship goes through: the lack of time and the lack of communication. But another one that is so major and is very major when it comes to excuse me, is very major when it comes to mature women. Okay. Men, I don't know of any men that I've ever spoke to that have uttered these words, taking time your partner for granted, right? Women, that has way more impact because they feel like they put in way more effort and all they get is, well, I paid the light bill, I paid this, I did that. So they think they're being taken for granted, okay? And in modern relationships, taking your partner for granted, many times when relationships get old, people tend to think that their partner won't leave them. They get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? No matter how they behave, this person is here for the long haul. And I've been guilty of that as well because I did this, I did that, I've shown you this, I've proven that. I think that I've done the brunt of the work, but 5 years has passed by since I've done it last. So I take it for granted that because I did it once, I don't have to keep doing it. And that is something that I'm really focusing on changing for myself. You know what I'm saying? And especially for a partner, that's something that I have to change and work on myself. So a part of taking time apart between breakups and relationships ending is you have to really break down where you went wrong in that relationship. Because again, if that person chose to walk away, then there's something about you that you need to address. If you chose to walk away, right? There was something a part of you that allowed yourself to get to a place where you feel like you had to walk away from your own version of happiness. So just be mindful of that. We all take our partners for granted. You know what I'm saying? You might want to start taking the special effort and actions of your partner that the things that they do, you take it for granted, and when you have a lot on your plate, it's very easy to fall into that trap of taking your partner for granted. For instance, your partner might cook something for you or cook your favorite meal every day, and you appreciate it sometime because you just had it, right? So you start to take for granted, oh, they're gonna do what I want to do. You know, when your birthday come up, they're gonna take you out. Valentine's Days come up, you're gonna get the flowers, you're gonna get the candy. You know, for me, I don't like doing the dinner and a movie and the chocolate and all that for Valentine's Day. I like to switch it up a little bit because that's what's expected. You know, it's like I try not to quote Kevin Hart, but it was one of those comedy specials where he was talking about, oh, you want me to turn this way? You want me to do that? She already knew what he wanted him to do because he did the same thing. Same thing in relationship, fellas. We have to really just be mindful of not taking for granted. You know what I'm saying? And you start putting forth the effort without appreciating your partner because they're doing a lot. And ladies, again, just because he starts to appreciate it, don't mean you have to stop. You have the right to be who you are. When a person takes you out of your element, if you love to cook, cook. It ain't you're not doing it because he appreciates it or not appreciates it, right? That's something you love to do. Fellas, you like to fix stuff around the house. Don't do it because it's on the honey-do list. Do it because it's something that you want to do. You know, it forms a ground for the relationships, and these things will start to take toll, either in the positive or the negative. You know what I'm saying? And then when they take it in the negative, your partner starts to drift away, and you don't know what's going on anymore. But you do know, but we just try to avoid it because when it's all said and done, we like to we like to blame the other person. Well, if you hadn't, then I wouldn't. If you had shown me this, and I wouldn't have done that. If you had done this, then I could have done that. But ultimately, we're all responsible for ourselves. So sometimes, right? And I'm drifting here, but you have to understand that in a relationship, you have to stay grounded. You can't match my energy, right? You can't clean dirt with dirt. And I'm saying that to say you have to stay grounded in who you are. Because if this is a person you love, if they're going through something, whether they're communicating it to you or not, you know this individual. So you have to be mindful of who they are as an individual and who they are and what they're about. So when they're going through something and they're not doing what they normally do, if you stay grounded and stay who you are, one, you never lose sight of yourself. But two, and most importantly, if that person finds their way back, you are the safe haven. You're who they're going to come back to. You're who they're going to finally open up to and let it all out or what it is. You don't know the burdens that that person carries. And that's okay. But if you start to match their energy, now all of a sudden they're going through what they're going through, and now their relationship is going through it. So all of it starts to crash down. Okay. So just be mindful of being appreciative and showing your partner the things that they need to know and the things that they need to see from you. Okay. Another huge issue, and this is more so a real modern issue, and the reason why I can definitely cannot date anyone younger than me because they're more focused on the money, the bag. So another issue is called financial insecurities in relationships, right? Because a lot of guys I've run into when I was growing up, they was always, oh man, babe, I can take care of you this, I can do that, I can handle this, I can handle that. First of all, you don't know her from a can of paint. You don't know what her lifestyle is like. You don't know what it takes for her to get to the place where you found her attractive. You don't know how much money that costs. The money you make pays your bills. It handles your business. It takes care of your responsibility. But to add another person, because when you tell them I can do this, I can do that, then all of a sudden those things right there become real life for you. And so then you have to really start making a difference and start making a change. So, but in today's relationships, couples are financially independent. Everybody wants somebody to come into the relationship with their own. Nobody wants to have to take care of somebody because you think you're making enough money, but as the economy continues to take a dip and it takes a crash, this isn't anything that I'm not accustomed to. But women that are older, right? They understand that even though you can handle as a man, I can handle everything, I can do everything I need to do. There are going to be times when I can't. And because they've had the easy ride throughout the relationship, they just automatically step up. They just automatically step up. They don't walk away. But in today's relationship, this is why I can never understand how older guys date younger women. I can understand you're going to have fun, but as far as talking about building a relationship in a home, I'll never understand it. You know, people in relationship, they do not depend on one each other for their money requirements anymore. However, when it comes to spending on common household expenses, right, the conflicts start coming up. They start to kick off. Everyone wants a partner who is good at spending and saving, right? I'm a crumb snatcher. Me personally, I'm a crumb snatcher. I'm a penny pincher. I like to hold on to my dividends, and I like to buy big items. I don't like to buy little items. I'd rather give her the card and say, go do what you got to do. Just leave me out of it. But when it comes to those big things, I'm fully engaged in them because those are things that if you make the wrong choice on big items, those things can be your downfall. Those things can, what I'm saying, you can lose everything. But you and your partner need to do a sound financial planning right at the beginning of your relationship. And I'm saying that with the utmost respect. Just because you got your money and I got my money, if she's the breadwinner, right? If she's the one that's making the most money in the relationship, I'm not trying to control your money, but this household that we live in has to be sustained. You can't spend everything you make just because you made it. I can't spend everything I make just because I made it. And that's why when we decide to join financials together, right? We have to put together what's important. But the thing that people, when they're putting the budget together, right? They got all the utilities, they got the rent, they got the car note, insurance, right? But people never put down entertainment. People never put down hair money. People never put down, you know, um, in between money. You know what I'm saying? That just because spur of the moment, that Amazon money. People never put that money to the side. They never included it in their budget. So whenever, I was always taught that every dollar you make has an assignment to it, whether it be savings, whether it be for a trip, or whether it be a graduation gift, whether it be a car, whether it be, to go get my hair cut, or whether you want to go get your hair braided and it's going to cost $500 for whatever reason, right? Every dollar has an assignment to it because as long as it has an assignment, that's called a financial plan. We now know where this money is going. People with a solid financial plan, they usually live in nice homes, drive nice cars. When something goes wrong with their car, they're able to get it fixed. They're able to put it together. They're able to get the tire changed, not have to go to Pablo's, use discount tire that's already bald when you get it or dry rot it out. Then they don't have to go to a shade tree mechanic. They can take it to a decent place to get it taken care of where they walk out of there with a warranty and a peace of mind. Okay. So it's very important. And if you fail to do this, what I'm saying, these money issues can become one of the challenges of any relationship. You might suffer from a money shortage. You might not agree on the spending style of each other. And in case, money issues can escalate quickly and pose a problem for any relationship. You know what I'm saying? Money is a crucial aspect of everybody's life. And especially right now, in the economy that we're in the world that we live in, right? There are a lot of people that make $100,000 a year that can't even survive making $50,000 in bills and things throughout the year because their money is spread out so thin. People assume that because you work an everyday job and that everyday job is paying you 100K a year, you got to remember that 100K is only going to last you this year. That's why it's per year. It's not over a lifetime. It's per year. So you have to keep earning, which means that you can't spend it all because there's going to be a day where that money's not coming in. What happens if you get hurt? What happens if your job does a layoff? What happens if, in my case, I lost my voice, right? Like I drive trucks. What happens if I break my leg? And if you're not prepared for it, there was a time where you were living below the poverty line if you didn't have 6 months worth of bills in your savings account. Now that number is you got to have at least 2 years. 2 years. Imagine 6 months. Now it's 2 years worth of your monthly bills in your savings account. because that's how long it would take you to recover if you lost your job for a 3 month period. Over 2 years to recover. So let that soak in. While you're spending everything trying to live your best life, that's great. But at the rate that things are going up, if you live out west in California, you're paying almost $6 a gallon for fuel, for gas. 3 years ago, you was barely paying two and three. If you live in Florida, 3 years ago, we was paying $2 a gallon. Now you're paying four. So whatever you was making just got cut in half. So your 100K is now only worth 50, and that's just off of gas. We're not even talking about meat yet. You remember when eggs got up to like $11? So you can keep taking it for granted, right? But imagine that headache of having to deal with that by yourself because you got somebody that can't control their spending, or because somebody's bad with money. They make bad business decisions, or they buy items that are useless that they got to put more money into. Okay. But when you're married or you plan to have kids, money matters. They start creating many problems. You should set a short term and a long term budget and discuss your savings with your partner. It is such a problem that can be resolved easily with just a genuine discussion between you and your partner. Okay. Another issue that happen in relationships is trust in relationships. Trust issues in relationships is huge, especially for the younger demographic, right? We're older. I'm 47, about God willing, I'll be 48 this year, right? We come from a generation where you almost expected people to cheat back then, but at the same time, there was respect that came even with people that cheated. And as crazy as this sounds, right? There was an expression: "You never crap where you eat." You got guys nowadays. You have guys nowadays that will be sleeping with the chick right next door. They live in the same apartment complex. They live on the same street and expecting that their girl isn't gonna know. But they wonder why there's so much drama at their home. But trust and relationships are the biggest problems in modern relationships. If you even once broke your partner's trust, you might find it hard to build that trust again. I've been down that road. I broke that trust. And no matter, the thing about it is, and we talked about this in previous episodes, right? Men and women are different when it comes to their trust and their boundaries, right? With a woman, she can love you and you can be God's gift to her. But the moment you make that mistake and break her trust, it's as if she doesn't know you. With a man, right? We talk a macho game, but when it comes to our heart, we don't want to share it with everybody. We don't want to give it to everybody. So we have a tendency to wait to see if something's going to change. And again, this is what I was talking about. There isn't anything that you can't come back to. You got to want to. And yes, that includes a person cheating on you. Not recommending it. I'm not offering it as a passageway. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you have to take the time to put forth the effort into those relationships. Okay? Because most couples that come for a relationship, you know what I'm saying, and they go to counseling and stuff like that, this is one of their biggest issues. They can't trust their partner. And trust isn't just infidelity. Okay? I don't trust my partner that he has our family's interest at heart. I don't trust that my wife understands that the money that we make will take care of our home today, but not tomorrow. I don't trust that my partner, when I say go pay the bills, is actually paying the bills. I think they're paying part of it, and then the next month, they're pocketing part of that money. You got people in a relationship. I trust that my partner is trying to find an exit strategy out of this relationship. Like their trust can go a lot of different directions. It's not just infidelity. Okay, you have to understand that. And if someone puts their trust in you, and then you break that trust. What I'm saying? As a couple, not being able to trust each other is one of the it's kind of like the fatal flaw, or the final nail in the coffin, for lack of a better term, in most relationships nowadays. Lack of trust is not always about cheating, like I said, or infidelity. It can be, just simple incidents that just takes you out of your, I don't know, out of your hell. You can lie to your partner about someone, your body count, right? That's a trust. Because if you're lying about your past, how can I trust our future? Right? Your partner, you know what I'm saying? And so you have to understand that your word, they have to take it at face value. And when they can't trust your word, they now can't trust you. And it starts with, vanishing, and it starts to vanish from a relationship. It becomes a breeding ground for other problems. No matter what you say, when they can't trust your word anymore, your word is supposed to be your bond. You're supposed to be transparent. You're supposed to be trustworthy. And when they can't trust your word, you have to do whatever it takes to be able to rebuild that up. And that person also has to want to. And that's the key component of it all, is you gotta want to, right? Um, a lot of relationships nowadays have another issue. To me, it's on the bottom of the totem pole, but it is also one of those things that really, and again, modern relationship, younger demographics, right? Dividing duties. So I tell people all the time, I'm Vivian's son. That's my mom's son, right? I'm Vivian's son. The one thing she taught me is never depend on a woman. Okay. Absolutely never depend on a woman. Appreciate a woman, but never depend on one. So I know how to cook. I know how to clean, right? I know how to build. I know how to work on cars. I know how to do all of the basic necessities. I'm not a pro at any of those things, but I can do it. I cooked for a living before I started doing what I do now, right? So I can cook. I can burn. I can do what I do. Am I my sister? No. Am I my mom? No, right? But I can handle my own. Me and my son live in a household together, and I'm teaching him those same values. I got to fuss at him a lot about cleaning, right? Because I can't live in a mess. I can't live in a pigsty. But that's just how I'm built, because I want him to have that same mindset. And so I say that to say this: in a lot of modern relationships, a lot of people are half raised. That's one of my aunt's favorite saying. You're half raised. I mean, you act like the job wasn't complete because their parents do everything for them or did everything for them. So they can't take care of themselves. So they're always dependent on someone else. And that's why it is so important that you understand your partner's background before you get into this living situation together. Because if you've never seen me at my house, because I live with my sister and I always come to your house, and you never know, you don't know how I live. And if you're a clean freak or OCD and you come in and I come into your house and I'm leaving stuff everywhere, I'm gonna freak you out. I'm gonna blow your mind with what it is. But dividing duties might not sound like a relationship problem, but it's one of the big ones today in these younger demographics, because you have some people that are raised like my mom raised me. And then you have some people that are raised where they just thought they never cared. Their house was always a mess, or they're clutter bugs, or they're junkies, or they like to have stuff, a whole bunch of stuff. I like open space. Some people love to be cluttered. I can't do clutter, right? And it gives, you got to have an equal contribution in the house and in the home, right? So when I say dividing duties, meaning I'm talking about who's taking the kids, who's picking up the kids, who's cooking dinner, who's cleaning up the kitchen, right? And a lot of these problems that happen in those relationships, you notice that it's always nobody knew what the other person expected them to do. And when they do it, you can't put someone in a position where they're gonna fail. Well, I'm tired of cooking, so you got to cook all this week. You knew he couldn't cook, or you knew she couldn't cook, but you want her to do the cooking this week. And then you knew you put her in a position to fail, right? And then you're the one that's pissed off about the fact that this person failed at what you put them in a position to fail at. That was your intent, because you wanted them to see what you go through on a daily basis. But you cannot put people in a position to fail, because once you put them in a position to fail, they're never going to look at you in the same way again. Remember, we're talking about trust, right? I got to be able to trust you not to set me up to fail. If you want me to cook or share those cooking responsibilities with me, bring me in the kitchen with you and just show me the basics. How about show me how to cook rice, right? Hell, start with the basics. Show me how to boil water. A lot of people don't realize that there's a boil and then there's a rolling boil. The way you get to a rolling boil is to add a little salt to the bottom of the water to the pot whenever you're cooking it, so that it brings that water to a boil, so that it cooks around, that the water's boiling around the edges. A lot of people don't know that. They were never taught that. They only saw the finished product. You know what I'm saying? But you cannot expect one person to single handedly manage the entire household chores. You can't expect the man to handle all of the financial responsibilities, because most guys, and especially my age, we're great at making money, but we don't know what to do with the money. Well, I paid all my bills. I got extra money left. What you want me to do with it? I don't really know. And as a woman, you can't walk in like, well, you can go get my hair and my nails done and whoop whoop and blah blah blah. You got to help him manage that money. If she cooking and everything that smells good, go to the grocery store with us, fella. Go to the store with her. Again, you gotta want to. Remember that four-letter word, WANT. You gotta want. You have to want to share those responsibilities with your partner. And just like money issues, agreeing to distribute the household responsibility is a simple way to take that constant bickering out of your relationship. You know what I'm saying? It should be done from the beginning of a relationship, so that it never poses a problem in the future. The problem is that a lot of times we get into these relationships, and ladies, you're a huge victim of this, or a huge contributor to this, is that you want to show them that you can cook, so you're trying to show them that you're this superwoman, right? And then 2, 4, 6, 8 months, year from now, 2 years from now, you're wondering why he never helps you in the kitchen, because you said that's what you want to do, even without you choosing to use the words. That's what you told him, that you want those responsibilities. Fellas, you're taking care of all the bills. You done came in the house, you got to merge homes, and you paying the light, the gas, the water, the car note, insurance. You're doing all these different things. You're putting gas in her car. And the first time you need her, she doesn't step up. The reason why she doesn't step up is because that's not the responsibility that you've given her. And let's be clear. Raymond, Vivian's son, don't believe in 50-50 bills. Either I can pay them, or we're living above our means. And when I say above our means, I mean minds. Okay? That's not how I'm built. That's not how I was raised. So, and every home is different. My financial situation is different. So I can speak only for Raymond, right? But I also don't, there's a reason why Beyonce won't date me, because I cannot finance her lifestyle. The term dating above your grade, above your class, isn't about finances. It's about looks. It's about how she carries herself. It's about her demeanor. Ladies, when they say date down, it don't mean finances. It means on, what I'm saying, he doesn't look, you don't, what you look like doesn't match what he looks like. That's what they say when they mean dating down or dating up above your weight class. Okay. So you have to understand that you have to stay in your lane. It's okay if you work at McDonald's. It's okay to be interested in a woman that works at a five-star restaurant, right? But if you want to be able to be on her level, to be in her social circle, in order to go to the place that she go and be able to play for that 93 gas and not that 87, five and dime gas that you put in your car, that's not going to work in her Beamer. It's not going to work in her Lexo. It's not going to work in her C class, right? So you have to step up your game or stay in your lane. And a lot of times when you go outside your lane, this is how you get into a place where dividing those responsibilities become harder, because you're above your weight class. You don't know what to do here. Okay. Which leads me to my next one: career goals, right? Issues in relationships is career goals. We live in a time where, this coming generations are very concerned about their careers, right? And today, everyone's priority is to build a life and a personality of their own. In fact, people don't even involve themselves in any relationships at all, to ensure that they build a stronger until they build a stronger career. Moreover, sometimes our life experiences change us. Okay. I'll never understand the internet sensation of, what I'm saying, influence and all that, but they make a lot of money at it. Maybe it's because we keep hitting the like button or whatever it is, right? You get a following, you get a following. You're showing it off, you're selling it, whatever it is, right? They always say sex sells. So that's why when I go to somebody's website and I'm looking at it and it's about their TNA, their titties and ass or whatever, right? You can't give me relationship advice because that's not why I'm here. So take off your clothes, do whatever it is you're gonna do, right? For the reason that I'm here on your page. Your relationship advice is moot. It is null and void to me, okay? If I go to a comedian's page and follow a comedian's page, right? I don't need your life advice. That's not why we liked your page, right? If I go to a relationship page, I don't need you to be doing comedy skits. That's not why I'm here. Stay in your lane, okay? But life experiences, they change us. And we may have gone through a trauma or a situation that could have never that we can never get out of. For instance, some people, were both ambitious and driven when they were younger. However, as you started growing as a couple in a relationship, one of you had to take a step of prioritizing your personal life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe somebody's health or maybe their parents' health or something like that kicked in, so their life had to change and had to take a step back. But you still are ambitious. You still are goal driven. You still on the same page. So now you guys are starting to have a divide, right? And most women, have to leave their work because I don't know, because of a job, because they got pregnant. They got to leave. I'm sorry, they got to leave their job because they got pregnant, because they have no one to look after the kids or whatever, right? It may seem like that's the right decision at the moment, but remember that other person is still growing. And so it creates a sore feeling in that woman's heart that I had your children, you continue to grow, and I got left behind. You know, I granted you had to take care of your parents, you had to take care of your sibling or whatever the case may be because there was no one else to do so, or you had to take care of your siblings' kids, right? So your life gets put on hold, and the other person is still growing. And for whatever reason, in modern relationships, people hold that against you. And this is where dating properly matters. If you've never had anybody in your family sick or ill, you don't know if you're capable of taking care of someone. And the last thing you want to do is meet someone. Hell, I'll use myself as an example. The last thing you want to do is meet me in the last 6 or 8 months because my health was in a different place. You don't want to meet somebody, and if you've never had to take care of someone, the last thing you want to do is walk into a relationship with somebody, see what I was going through, and then realize you might have to one day. So you have to be mindful of it. And so, what I'm saying, you should always tell your partner what you're going through and what your priorities are and when they're changing. Because when you make them see it through your perspective, they might understand. So just be mindful of our career goals change for different reasons, right? But the biggest thing is that you have to understand if you communicate these issues and things with the other person, let them know, hey, listen, I understand that you're going forward, right? But our priorities in this relationship may have to change, right? Understand that me and you both had a plan. And when we made that plan, we never spoke about a child. That child came into the picture and somebody had to take care of it. Somebody had to take care of this child. Somebody had to take care of your mom when she got sick. Somebody had to take care of your sibling that's handicapped, right? People die every single day and they leave people behind and they're underinsured. And so it's a financial burden. Somebody had to take that on. But I don't want that to be the reason why you walk away. Or if you don't think this is something you can handle, at least now I know where my priorities need to shift to. I need to shift them away from you and focus more on this because at the end of the day, this task has to be done by me. Okay. And that brings us to that point where we have people go through that lack of communication, right? As said, a human cannot appreciate the same things for a very long time. And I'm gonna say that again, right? As a human, you cannot appreciate the same thing for a very long time because I don't care what it is. I love watching college football, right? But NIL changed that. I can still watch it, but I don't appreciate it the same way because my thought process was these guys were playing to get to the money. Now they're getting the money. they're not playing the same way. If you look at the NBA, if you like sports, right? You look at the NBA, you got guys that are actually taking time off from their full time job, which is 5 months out of a year, and they get 6 months off, right? They get 6 months off, and they're complaining about having to go to work every day when the average Joe has to go to work every day. So now that they got something in place where they can't do that, now they're complaining about the fact that they have to do that. Imagine going to your job and telling them, hey, I know you're paying me for 8 hour shift, but I'm only going to work six of them. I'll see y'all later. Talk to you tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. So people don't appreciate the same things for a very long time. But however, when it comes to relationships, both partners must appreciate and acknowledge each other's efforts. Okay. One of the biggest problems in relationships is comparisons. It becomes competitive. One partner would often compare their shared efforts with the other partner, right? And then they was like, well, I did this and I did more of that, but you didn't do this and you didn't do that. They would often say that, they're doing more in a relationship, right? The disagreement forms many problems for couples. And people don't appreciate, hell, they don't even compliment their partners for the things that they do on a daily. You know, there is nothing like, especially I'm telling you from a man's standpoint, right? There is absolutely nothing. And it is unmatched. I don't care how great you are in bed, how good you can cook, right? What kind of car you drive, the money you make. There is nothing like appreciation out of the blue. Ladies, if you don't understand nothing else in life, understand that text or that phone call. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I love the man that you are. I love how you provide for our families. I love the fact that the sacrifice that you make for us on a daily basis. I know you're tired. I know you're frustrated, but I love the fact that when you talk, you digress from your position and you acknowledge me and give it to me wholeheartedly. Those texts, those phone calls out of the blue are unmatched. If you've never heard it from another man, I am telling you from a genuine regular guy, right? I ain't talking about somebody with money, I ain't talking about somebody living in the gutter. I'm talking about from a regular guy. If you want to make a man feel like he's on top of the world, you want to make him buy you some flowers on a regular basis, or if you want to make him go above and beyond for you, and even when it gets hard, he continues to give it even more effort, try that. Just try it, right? Just just try it. Because lack of appreciations amongst couples is a normal problem. It's a normal issue amongst couples. Okay. It is also the easiest way to end a relationship. If you don't appreciate me, that's the easiest end. You can start taking each other's good qualities and appreciate them instead of mentioning your partner's weaknesses every time. How about telling them some of the great things they do? As I stated, for what I'm saying, for women, if you want something to do for your woman, I can't speak for a woman, right? But fellas, right? If you want something that's unmatched, right? That's on the same level of what we're talking about as far as just that admiration, right? When your woman comes in the house, when she comes from work, when she comes back from the store, she comes back from the daycare, take one of her daily tasks and make it yours. I'm gonna say that again for you, right? If your woman cooks every single day, I don't care if you can't cook, right? You know she gets off at 4 o'clock. She picks the kids up, right? She don't get home until 6. She still got dinner to prepare. She still got to get the kids ready for work. I'm gonna say for the next day, right? So I'm dropping a jewel for you here, fellas. Listen to me, right? I don't care if you got to go to a local restaurant, get the food, bring it home, and put it in the pan. I don't care. Take the task away. And while she's sitting at the table, feed her first, like she feeds you first, right? Feed the kids. While she's eating, go get the kids' clothes ready for school the next day. Just take it away from her once a week. unmatched. You want to find out if she loves you, you want to find out if that's your partner for real, try it. Okay? I'm trying to tell you I'm dropping jewels for you, right? Just try it. It's called appreciation. If you can take one of her daily tasks, you can't take work from her. She has to go to work. That's her job, right? But how come you can't take her to work? How come your day off, right? How come you can't take her to work, come home, go back to sleep, right? For lunch, bring her lunch. Because remember, she ain't got no car. You took her to work. And when you get ready to pick her up, here's the kick, right? Be on time. Matter of fact, be there early. Wait on her. And when she comes to the car, have her some cold to drink. Have her something warm to drink, right? Bring her home and go pick up the kids. I'm trying to drop a nugget for you. Do what you want with that information, right? But it ain't hard. Okay? Let's roll on. We ain't gonna stall you out. Let's roll on. We trying to help y'all see what some of the issues are in these modern relationships and how to fix some of them, right? Okay. Another one is gonna be now, and I'm gonna word this correctly, right? How do I use this? Mitched matched sex lives. You ever met somebody that has a much higher sex drive than you? You ever met somebody that's into some kinky stuff? You ever met somebody that was dull? Somebody that's only laid on their back and they lay there like they're dead? You ever met one of those? Trust me, mismatched sex lives, right? Sex is a very integral part of a relationship. And if you don't have a healthy, happy sex life, then it is really hard to have a healthy relationship. And a mixed match sex drives, right, are a common place for a modern relationship to have issues. It affects the both of you because she feels ashamed or he feels ashamed that he can't keep up with you, right? Or that you want to try some stuff they never tried before or something they said they were never going to do. So it makes them feel some type of way. It makes you feel some type of way because you want it and you love this person, but you want it from them, but they keep telling you no. Well, I'm not into that. I don't like that. Blah, blah, blah. Go play in traffic. All that right there, right? So, you know what I'm saying? It plays a role. But again, it comes back down. Remember that four-letter word, right? WANT. Want. You gotta want to do something different. You gotta want to try something different. Nobody's asking you to drop hot candle wax or be tied up to the flagpole outside or be bent over at a truck. Nobody's asking you that. If we're asking something in reason, right? That this person is into. Again, knowing your partner, but knowing what they're into and what they like can bring things together. It affects both partners equally. Your sex life should be full of spark and fire. Like there should be some gas, man. It feels like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, even though it's not the most important thing, it's the most important thing right then. You know what I mean? So you have to really put that down. And it can't be dull, right? You gotta really want to say that, my motto is every time we lay down, it should be a new experience. That's my motto. You do what you want with that little nugget right there, right? Each time should be a different experience. Each time should be an experience. Just because you've been to Disney World one time don't mean you got to do everything at Disney World. Let's do something different. Let's add something to it. Let's take some away. Let's try it this way. I know you like doing it this way, but let's try it this way. Instead of doing it on the bed all the time, get you a little sex couch or a little pillow or do it in a recliner. Hell, do it at the kitchen table. Whatever, right? Do something willing. Be willing to do something different. And as your body goes through many different type of changes, sometimes you put on weight, sometimes you lose weight, sometimes you got ED, sometimes you got dryness. Whatever your thing is, your body go through changes, and it's a direct effect of your sex drive with the person. And many changes can occur with hell just stress alone, right? Men, our ED comes from stress. Hear me when I say that. Stress. Women go through hormonal imbalances, right? I don't know any guy that's ever been diagnosed with a hormonal imbalance, so I can't say men. So I'm just going to say women based off the information that I have, right? Women going through the change, right? Or women insecure about their bodies, right? So, you know, hell, aging sometimes plays a role and other problems. But soon the sexual compatibility becomes an issue for that couple, right? And there's no doubt that a lack of intimacy in a relationship, right, with couples can make you distance, hell, even disconnected. This is where you start to seek it. I love my husband, right? But he can't get up. So I'm just going to have Mr. Fred or Johnny. He's just a friend. I don't want a relationship with him because I love my husband, but I need what I can't get from my husband. Okay? My wife is so insecure with her body. She's put on weight from the pregnancy, and she don't like me to see her naked, but I absolutely love the way she look. But she won't, what I'm saying, she won't even try anymore. She's, well, let me lose weight. When I lose weight, then we can try it again. It's been over 2 years, nothing has happened. So I step out. Whatever your reason. I love my wife, but this is why I did what I did. Okay. No matter how old your relationship is, you have to make an effort to carve out time to make sure that your partners are mentally, physically, and sexually satisfied. That's your responsibility in a relationship. If you can make time to please yourself, you can also use that time to please your partner. If you put on weight, lady, and he hasn't left you, then still be you. You may not be able to perform the same tricks and spin off the chandelier and hang off the door handle and all that like you used to be able to do, right? But hell, put your hands on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Go put your hands on the laundromat. You gotta figure out ways to make it. Fellas, if you stressed out, let that be your de-stressor. Right? Use it as that. Let her know, hey, listen, I'm stressed out. I need to release some stress. She knows what she's getting into. So it may not be a long session. It may be a rapid fire. But at least communication is not the issue. You're communicating what's going on and your partner knows what's going on. Even if you got a medical issue, right? Such as ED or dryness or hormonal or perimenopause or whatever the words is, right? If you communicate it with your partner, they know what's going on. You can work through those issues, okay? Because that issue right there, when you start having those sexual issues, it leads into the next topic, right? Jealousy issues. You know what I'm saying? Jealousy and trust issues go hand in hand. Jealousy is like a termite. It's not visible initially, right? That you can't see them, but slowly, I mean slowly, it starts to eat that relationship from the inside. And a lot of modern relationship problems revolve around emotions like jealousy. You have a lot of insecure people because they never had the opportunity that we had to get out and socialize. They never had to be rejected. They never had to see a woman that they really was crushing on go out with somebody that you're better than, but because you never stepped up, you know what I'm saying? They never had that jealousy and never had to figure out how to get over it. So they get into relationships, they want you to fix their jealousy. I'm a grown man. If you got jealousy issues, I'm gonna tell you right now, you have jealousy, not me. You have jealousy issues. So you're the one that needs to fix it. That's not my responsibility, right? Okay. But in modern relationships, emotions are like, they're like jealousy. And it's like how do I word it? If your partner gives you a little attention to someone, or even your partner gets some attention from someone else, from another person, and that you know how that felt, right? However, in the real emotions of jealousy, it establishes a grip, like it holds on to you, and it can make your relationship the true definition of toxic. It's an odor of emotions that you can't get rid of. That smell of somebody else getting your attention, somebody else giving you attention, or your partner seeing it, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? You start to feel jealous about anyone and everyone around that person, right? I've seen people who constantly check their partner's phone, stalk their social media. You know what I'm saying? They be following their locations and pick and fight with every small issue. Jealousy affects both of you equally. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand something. When you get to a place where you got to check somebody's phone, or somebody gets mad because you won't let them check your phone, That is the biggest red flag of all red flags. It is time to officially prepare your exit strategy. It's time. I don't care what anybody say. As an adult, I have a right to privacy. If you don't trust me, do something about it, right? But I'm not going to give on my right to privacy just to make you happy. Now, if I say here, I don't care about the phone, check it, here's the password and blah, 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 right? That's fine. That don't mean I ain't got nothing to hide. The easiest way to hide from the police is in plain sight. If you want to rob a store, go stand in front of the police gate and go stand in front of the police department. They're gonna come out that driveway and go right on by. They're not gonna notice you at all. So the people, just because a person give you complete access to their items, their phone, and social media, don't mean that they're not doing it right there in your face. Just like, just because I don't give you access to my phone and social media, doesn't mean that I have something to hide. You have an issue with trust, whether it stems from a relationship prior or whether it stems from something that I have done previously, right? You have an issue with trust. And there's absolutely nothing I can do to help you with that issue. You have to seek help or you have to say it out loud to yourself and do something different, right? But this part, man, this disrupts the lives of everybody, both of us, right? The other partner, the mental health is affected directly. You know what I'm saying? You start to try to match their energy and say, well, you remember when you did this and you did that. I remember you said this and you turned that and you turned into everything except for what it's supposed to be, right? But at the end of the day, jealousy is a huge man. This generation, man, they are jealous about the water being clear. Well, it wasn't clear the last time, so where'd you get that from? A clean cup it must have came from XYZ. And like y'all got some serious problems, man. That one right there, y'all have really got to work on. And it goes right into the next one, right? That over possessive partner. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing worse than dating an over possessive person. You know what I'm saying? When you begin a relationship and there's a little bit of care and possessiveness, right? That seems cute in the beginning, right? However, when that possessiveness gets too much and you start feeling suffocated, you need to start your exit strategy, right? You got again. I just need to find the exit. That's all I need. I'm not gonna walk out the door yet, but I need to find the exit because I'm gonna bring it to your attention. And as I bring it to your attention, I'm moving people out of the way because there's a fire behind me, and I need to be able to get out the building. Okay, a partner who is possessive, right? They are somehow starting to control, and it's becoming very astonishing, man. It is getting crazy. I remember I had a friend of mine who once was dealing with like something like this with, what I'm saying, with his partner, like, and the husband was like very possessive, right? And so, she would always, he would always check on her and stuff like that, but he would not allow her to talk to male employees. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't even let her talk to male employees. And so it was crazy. And it started to affect and it started to affect her mental health because she didn't know what to do. She was such a friendly person, she was such an outgoing person and doing what she normally do that she couldn't even be her anymore. So it started to affect her as an individual. She didn't know what to do and where to go, right? And when you work with a lot of males in place, some of you ladies work in jobs where it's male predominant or it's a guy that everybody wants to have a work husband, whatever. So she had to take a counseling to get over that little headache and toxicity in a relationship. Relationships are built over trust. And if you can't trust your partner in any way, then the problem lies within you, not them. You know what I'm saying? Everyone deserves the freedom, as I stated before, to be you, to be an individual, to be independent. And as a couple, you should value each other's personal space and respect the other person in reverse because that tendency goes both ways, right? And so you just have to be mindful of things like that, right? So I say all that to kind of lead into this is probably the absolute most important reason why I do not. Right. This next one is it's a view about parenthood. The most common one of the issues in modern relationships is the view on parenthood. I'm telling you right now, I cannot date a woman with small children or that refuse to let her kids become young adults. Right. You can protect them all you want, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? You feel like if you protect them, then they can never go through the things that you went through. But look at how you are as an individual, right? People view on parenthood is so drastically different. You know, one of the biggest problem in relationships that most of these couples they face is parenthood, right? While one partner is ready to start a family and or either has kids, and the other partner always seems confused, right? They want them, or they don't want to date them, or they don't want to raise them, or whatever. You know, many times those views about parenthood do not match. And every couple's their dreams of raising children together, but never feel prepared enough to do so, right? It also caused a lot of problems and fights, you know, with each other. More so, being parent is a big decision because I come from a physical disciplinary home. There was communication, but we got our butts kicked, right? But those things for me, my view on getting my butt kicked and spankings and ass whoopings and all that right there, my view on that is it taught me boundaries. It taught me structure. I came from a single parent home. I had a lot of uncles that contributed to the man I am. But when they wasn't around, my mom did all the raising. So she did what she had to do. And I have no regrets about how I turned out. Okay. I participated in the same thing. My son, he's at an age now where he's not getting bulbs anymore, but that voice and the structure that I'm giving him is setting those boundaries. You should learn, my son should learn how to be a human being at home. He should learn how to respect adults at home. He should learn how to treat other people at home. He should learn how to share at home. He shouldn't have to learn as he gets older or when he's out in the streets or when he gets into a relationship. Same thing with my daughters. They know their boundaries, right? You know, when you don't want a man to put his hands on you, don't put your hands on him, right? You know, that should be learned at home. How to provide for yourself and take care of yourself as a young lady should be taught at home, not in the streets or the benefits of a man who took everything from you had to lose everything. So people views on parenthood is so different. And a lot of people come from relationships where they don't have to do this. And some people come from relationships where they have to do this. Some people believe in structure, some people believe in gentle parenting. And so it's a tricky topic and it is a hard one to have with people because people that already has kids, you can't tell them anything about their kids. So what's the point of me being here, right? But well, you don't spend no time with them. You don't do anything with them. They need a male role model, but they don't want you to be the male role model that you are. So it's one of those things where it's a catch 22. So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And a lot of couples, man, they're not ready to compromise on their visions and goals of what a household should look like. You know, the hardest thing is for a person who comes from where they got their butt kicked, right, because they were being disrespectful or talk crazy or talk back to their parents. The hardest thing for me to adjust to would be to date a parent to date a woman who does not um what's the word, who don't go along with that, right? Who just let the kids do whatever they want, thinking they'll learn at some point, somehow, some way, right? They give their kids way too much credit, right? Or the hardest thing would be for a person who came from a gentle parent home and the other person believes in, you know what I'm saying, the belt or the spanking or the hand or whatever the case may be. So it's hard. So again, you have to know what type of person you're talking about setting up a family with. Because you have some kids, some parents who came from a household where nobody cared anything enough about them. So guess what? They don't care anything about their kids, and they let them do what they want. They give them up. They believe that it's the grandparents' job to take care of the kids, like you see it every single day. So you have to be very mindful. You know what I'm saying? And you have to, have to be careful on who you make this decision with. If you force your partner to become a parent when they don't feel like doing so or they want to be done to be a parent, then they start to do different things and they start to act differently. So you have to be very mindful and make your, make your decisions, right? With that person and make sure they're the right person for the way you are when it comes to being a parent. Okay. Another one is and this one here kind of falls near and dear to my heart. It's called an unrealistic expectation. You can't, a lot of um, people in relationships nowadays, they have an issue with communication. We talked about this earlier, right? But people watch movies and series and believe that love is a fairy tale when in reality it's not, right? You might expect your partner to bring, that star, the moon, the stars, and the mountains for you, right? But in real life, they can't. It is natural to expect certain things from your partner. However, sometimes people set the bar for their partner so unrealistically high. If you meet a person that barely has an education, okay, this isn't just an old people problem. This is a young people problem where they barely have an education. They went to school, but they don't have no education, right? They can't pronounce their words correctly. They can't form a sentence. They can't balance a checkbook. They don't know how much money they got. They can only count up to 100. These people still exist. So this isn't, what I'm saying, unrealistic, right? But if you know that this person is very limited on education, but they're great for you, you can't be expecting them to sit there and do a financial budget for you. You can't expect them to read the menu for you. You got to do a lot of things for them. You can't set that bar so high because of what you're used to. Relationships become a challenge for you when you want to stand perfect and always try to win. Even if you expect something from your partner, you should express your expectations explicitly, right? Let them know exactly what it is your expectations are. You know what I'm saying? Expecting your partner to guess and deliver your desires will only break your heart because they're never going to know what it is that you actually want because you never actually told them. If you're looking for a date for Valentine's Day, right? If you're looking for a date for Valentine's Day and you want to go do something, you got to be like, hey, did you make plans? Because you know that person's not a planner, right? Did you make plans? Okay. Then you need to make plans. Well, since you didn't come up with one, here, I'm going to tell you where I want to go. I'm going to tell you what you need to bring. I'm going to tell you what you need to wear. Now you already know the expectations. Now, these are no longer unrealistic because you now know what the expectation is, right? It's no different. Hey, this year for my birthday, right? I don't want no socks. I don't want a gift card. I want you to put some effort, right? This is what I'm telling you. This is Raymond talking. I'm telling you, this year for my birthday, I want you to put some effort into my gift. Asking me what I want when you already know me and you know what I like and you know what I do, right? Asking me what I want is not putting in effort. That's you taking the cheap route out, right? So those expectations are no longer unrealistic because I'm putting something in front of you that I know you can obtain. That's how you minimize unrealistic expectations, right? And so we've been at this for a while, right? And again, we have to be mindful of the person that we choose to deal with, the person that we choose to be in a relationship with, right? But many times, we do not even realize our relationship is even suffering or that it's having issues. Because people today are too busy in their careers to take the time to um, take their relationship seriously, or they take it for granted. Life can get sometimes overwhelming, and you will always need someone to celebrate your success with, but also to have someone to download those failures to. Because as we go through life, life changes, and in modern relationships, it is very hard to find a person on the same page because people aren't cut from a different cloth. I, I'm be honest with you, man. There's a generation like people that are my age. Our kids are going to be the last of people that have some structure and discipline because there are a lot of people and society telling them that you can do what you want, you can say what you want, and there are no consequences behind it. But then there's always consequences. You have to be prepared to set yourselves up, your partner, and everyone involved up for success. And even if they fail, they were set up for success, and it just didn't come through that time. That's all I got for everybody this week. Again, I want to say thank you for the prayers and wishes of everybody that knew what was going on with me, that I was down and I was out, but I'm back up. I'm moving around, and I want to say thank you for everything that you guys have done. I want to say thank you for staying tuned in. Thank you for checking to see when the next episode was going to drop. Checking to looking for the shenanigans, all those different things, right? Everything is back up. Everything is back. The shenanigans are dropping every single day now. They're back on track. I want to say thank you. We're still available on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at the DBL Podcast. We're still on YouTube. Episode's going to be on YouTube on Sundays. This episode comes out on Mondays on all your listening platforms. Until next time, everybody, check us out on the dblpodcast.wordpress.com.